Today, I'm going to unbox, what is this? That looks like an Alexander the Great era helmet, face guard, and we'd be right. This is Successors by Richard Berg, Mark Simonitch. This is the 4th edition published by Phalanx. There's been, since this is the 4th edition, we know that there's been at least 3 other editions. I think Avalon Hill might have done one. I think at least the first or second might have came out in a flat box, and then there was like more of a bookcase game to this, I believe. Maybe GMT did that one. And then here is the 4th edition, relatively stark cover there. And then you have on the back, you see what comes in the box. And again, this is by Richard Berg, the late great Richard Berg, and Mark Simonitch. Mark Simonitch, of course, is has a lot of designs, but one of his earlier designs was Hannibal, Rome versus Carthage. And there's some similarities, I believe, in these games. At least one similarity I see is this Valley Games version that I had. If you like pre-ordered it, and this is before Kickstarter, but I ended up pre-ordering it, and you got a set of minis with that game, but they were horrible. They were brittle. They all broke up. They were supposed to send you out replacements, but they never did. I don't even know if Valley Games is still around, but the minis were just abominable. But they looked a lot like this. They had if you can see here a little bit, we'll probably see better when we get in the box. The information you need to have is on the base of the minis, and the minis that came with the Hannibal, they had those as well, or either that or you put a sticker on them. I think they had that on the base, actually. I have them somewhere because I've never used them. I don't keep them in the box because they're brittle as all get out. Normally the other editions of this, I believe, I've never owned one, but the other editions had standees. So instead of the standees that would have this information, now you have minis. So this is a very interesting time period. This is right after Alexander the Great's death. If you're familiar at all with Alexander, he had a relatively vast empire, one of the largest empires of that time, if not the largest of that time, stretching all the way from the Mediterranean into modern-day India and the Indus Valley, and in parts of Egypt as well. So relatively vast empire, mainly after conquering the Persian Empire. And when on his death, he did not have a successor, so his top generals kind of were divvied up the parts of his realm, and then they immediately commenced fighting amongst themselves to solidify either their gains or to gain more or what have you. So there was a great period of the successor wars here. And so this game covers that. So I've always kind of looked at this because, again, this has been around for quite some time. I don't know when the first edition came out of this, but we have Mr. Berg and Mr. Simonitch were part of that. So you're going to get minis. There's going to be cards. There's going to be this kind of a point-to-point board here. And let's get in there. Let's see what we got inside the box here. I've been wanting to get in this. I've been waiting to get into this game, or to get this game, for some time. I was actually been looking at maybe the 3rd edition, which I believe was GMT. I could be wrong on that. But I just kept passing, and then I knew that I heard that this was coming out, and I believe it was kickstarted. I did not kickstart it. But I knew this was coming out, so I said, well, let's wait till this gets out and gets on the shelf. And this just showed up at my friendly local gaming store, which, when you can, folks, it's always good to support a friendly local gaming store, especially if they have war games, because there's not very many of them around that do that. So you got to try to keep them in business. Not a bad box, not super thick, but not flimsy either. So you got the Successors there. Here's the playbook. And then here is Wow, this is the rules, I imagine. And then we have some charts. So let's take a look at these first. Let's look at the playbook, since that's right on top there, that has the same image as the cover there. This is 24 pages. Looks like you've got a chart on the back here talking about seniority. Then you have the name. These are some of the leaders, I believe, of that. And then special abilities. And then they have a couple of ratings here. And I imagine those might correspond with the ratings that are on the base of the minis themselves. Here's changes between the 3rd and 4th edition. That's always interesting when you see in later editions them showing what changes are made. So it looks like there's at least 2 pages of changes between the 3rd and the 4th edition. And then the Diadochi, I probably pronounced that or butchered that, but that is the name of this general period of the successors, the wars of the successors, or the Alexander's generals fighting over stuff is generally referred to as that. And there were several different wars that took place in that. So this is a setup. These are the scenarios. So you have very nice full color showing you what the setup is and what the cards and the player boards, I guess, there. And then you have of course the written setup here. That's nice. So it looks like so that's a 5-player scenario. Here's a 4-player scenario. Here's a 3-player scenario. Here's a 2-player scenario. So that's nice. So you got up to 5 people playing this. And then so that's it. So you have 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are the different scenarios here. This looks like this is an example of play. And it looks like it's a relatively extensive example of play. So yeah, so the rest of the book is an example of play. So from page 3, which shows you the setup and the board, which is very nice, full color. So page 3 to page 13 is an example of play. So you get a 10-page example of play with full color showing the board and where stuff's at. So and then you also have some color notations of stuff that's going on in the text as well. So very nice there. Like that. I always like examples of play. Then you have the rules. So rules are 40 pages. Of course, the back page is an index. And if you've watched my videos, I always start from the back and work my way forward because I don't know, I just do that way. Here's a pronunciation guide. I need that. I need that. Then you have some credits here. And then it looks like there's some. I wonder if these are optional rules. So, including optional rules, you got 37 pages of rules. They're dual column with some illustrations in there that are in color, as you can see here. And that's basically optional rules. So really maybe 34 pages of rules, not counting optional rules. And this is dealing, sieges, land battles, naval movement and battle, evasion. I mean, you're covering a vast period of territory. You're covering the remnants of the Alexander Empire, which is relatively vast. So there's large tracts of land, and there's water and seas and everything. So this is going to bring in everything at a very probably strategic level is probably the right way to categorize this one, given the amount of the area or the geography that you're covering here. Here's activation and movement, royal family members, and as you can see, you have illustration and some of the counters shown as well throughout this. Generals and military units, strategy phase, sequence of play. So then rules themselves are page 12 to, what did I say, 37 or something like that. The rest of this is introductory type stuff, probably telling you what the components are, what some of the terms you're going to be using here. There's like talking about family members, player pieces, major generals. So this is just talking about your components. Here's a full 2-page spread on setup. Very nice. Always like that. Something very common in, hobby games, Euro games, the general board gaming hobby. This is common in that, not as common in war games sometimes. And so since this is kind of a mix between a straight up war game and probably a CDG or has some other aspects of gameplay, a little bit different than your normal war game or your traditional hex encounter. This is probably more appropriate because how you're setting stuff up, especially when you got little minis that you need to put on the board as well. But how you set up your cards and the different player areas and the like. So that's nice. I always like to have those setups. Here's your victory conditions. Always a good place to start. Start at the beginning with what are we going for? How do we win this game? And then go into the rules. I always like that. And then you've got some more. This is just basically your inventory. Very nice, full color. Your map and board mapping key terms. Very nice. I like the way this is laid out. So as you're going through this, you're getting introduced into the components and the map and some of the terminology. Then you understand what you need to do to win. And then you set the thing up, and then you're into the rules. So that's I like that. So this is 40 pages, but looks like it's organized relatively well, and so not not just a jumble of 40 pages, but a linear path to get you to playing. Then you've got these player aids. It looks like there are 5 because you can play up to 5 players. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these look like they're all the same. And you have some land battle, fleets and naval battle, sieges, special CUs, how to win, legitimacy and royal family, and then some charts down here that mark, and then your battle table. And then on the back, you've got your phases like preparation phase, reinforcement phase, shuffle phase, strategy phase, isolation phase, turn in, and then some notes on movement, notes on generals and independent army. So, having not played this, can't tell you right off the bat if this is a good player aid or not, but it sure looks like it's got a lot of information on it. It's relatively small print there, but they did put a lot on here, so I'm assuming it's the key stuff. But you know what happens when you assume. Then here is the board. We'll look at that last. Oh, look at the minis here. So we got maybe these are some extra counters, or maybe this was some errata maybe that they threw in the box at the last minute. But you have a nice little tray here. Let's move this over so we can look in this a little bit. Look at our generals there. So you've got a nice tray here. That's a little bit tough getting out. Oh, it's taped in there. So let's just take the whole thing out. So we got some more. So you can still have the standees. So I guess if you want to use the standees, you can use the standees maybe. Or maybe these are minor leaders, not sure. But so maybe you have a choice between the two. That's kind of cool there. They're dual-sided. Then you've got some more counters here in the bottom of the box. So, and these are pre-rounded. Look at a little notch there, so you could have pulled it out that way, I guess. So they're all pre-rounded, even the square ones. So no counter clipping here or needed, and I don't do that very sparingly. Although I do have a counter clipper now, and these are dual-sided. So, oh boy, they come out pretty easy because I just dropped that down, and they're already wanting to jump on the board there. So, a lot of markers. I imagine these are probably your military units, and then you've got some markers here. And you probably have markers for each of the different factions that are in play here. Some more of the generals, standees, and a hodgepodge of markers. Looks like you have the seat. Maybe that's out of the throne and the ring. And I believe this right here is, that might be Alexander's body, I think. Not sure. I believe, I think this is the game. I get some of these mixed up, but that there's some victory points to be had if you've got Alexander's body. If you're the one that actually has his body and you're trying to take it to your capital to bury it so that you can show you're really the legitimate heir because you're the one that got the body. So kind of morbid, But hey, you know, it was ancient times, so they did things a little bit differently back then. So those are the counters that you get in there. I'll put some of those spare ones off to the side. Let's take a look at the map next. Well, I've got this out here. Mounted map here. And let's see what we got here. Oh, it's one of those triple folds that looks like legs. All right, there you go. Wow, nice map there. So you've got a turn track. You've got a track down here. I'm not sure, probably the turn, and might be other things that you keep track of down here. Looks like you got a little bit of ink or something on there. Okay, that's interesting. And then, so as I said, it's point to point. Generally, you're going to have these different areas here that you move from. I mean, this is probably naval movement, the little dotted line there. But you have your different regions around the Mediterranean, into the Middle East, and then over into, you know, Mesopotamia, Babylonia, Medea, you know, over into almost to the outskirts of India. And then you've got, you know, the Caspian area up here as well, and then, of course, Asia Minor, or the present-day Turkey and the like there. So, nice board. Not somewhat muted colors. I mean, they're not vivid, bright colors jumping out at you, but they're not just completely dull colors. It's interesting. You've got, you know, some oranges and yellows and some greens there. Interesting, nice. I think that's a nice looking map. Everything looks relatively clear on there. Let's get to this right here. All right, so let's go with these cards here. These look like these might be like player boards, maybe. This is your movement and allowance table there. Not super thick stock. I mean, just kind of a regular card. Not a super thick card. But you've got a lot of different, these might be the different factions maybe, because there's different, they correspond with some of those tokens that are in the game. Then you have the cards here. Very nice, you know, big cards, you know, not almost tarot type size maybe, is what you call that. Looks relatively clear, quite a bit of text on some of these. You have some numbers up here. I wonder if that goes like with op points. Not sure if this is a straight CDG. I need to read up on this a little bit. As I said, I kind of had this one on the back burner for a long time, and then when I saw it pop up at my game store just this week, I was like, okay, all right, I need to just get it and get it open. Then I'll figure out what I got. So there's what you have right there on the cards there, and then this is the Taiki deck. Those cards there, okay. And these other ones over here were the different factions, and then of course you have your movement and allowance table there, almost more like a player aid in that regard. You have some more cards here. Let's see if I get these open here. Now, see here. So let's see here. So you get the larger or tarot-ish size cards, and then you have these. These look like these correspond to the different generals, giving some of their abilities and maybe a special ability there. The Seleucid Empire, I think, starts from him. So nice, decent art there. Then these are, maybe these are regions. They look kind of like they correspond with different regions on the board there. So you got some numbers and some symbols here. For those of you who have played this game, that probably makes complete sense to you, but these are all kind of a geographic area or have a background there, a map background. You've got some bases. These are bases for the generals that you can keep track of what faction they're with. You've got some standee bases. So I guess if you want to go with, I don't know if you have to use the standees if you've used the minis, or if it's just a selection. Do you want to use those standees? You want to do the minis? But you got standees for the cardboard stand-ups as well. You get some dice here. Looks like you've got 5 standard dice and then 2 special dice. Looks like it's got some elephant on it. It's a little bit different. And then you got a bag of baggies there. Okay, let's get into these a little bit here. So these are the minis. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So you gotta pull that tape off there. So you've got your minis here, and it looks like you've got that's just a space between them. Okay. Oh, so there's like a card to show you, I guess, who's who, and then you have this little plastic spacer there. So and then we've got this here. This has a cover to it, and I'm already liking the minis better because the ones I had for Hannibal broke when they came out of the box. So you can see there's the information right on the base of, you have a number in a circle and a number in a square. That stands for something different. You know, Hannibal is the same way, so I wonder if that's like a Simonitch influence on this game, or if Successor might have came before his Hannibal game, I believe. And of course, there's a new version of Hannibal out now too. It probably has minis like these as well. So and you have it on the back as well. So I like these. These are very nice, and they're not. The fact that they didn't break is okay with me. Again, that was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away. So the miniatures and everything else is much better these days in games, in all games, but even in war games, they're better nowadays. So that's kind of cool. I mean, that's really nice looking mini there. Nice looking dude. So I'm not a painter at all. So I don't. If you're so inclined, I imagine you can make these look incredible. I am not, so they're fine with me the way they are. Then you've got another stack that doesn't. Those are nestled in there. So, and I believe this might be Alexander's grave, maybe, or his body. Could be wrong on that. And then you've got this here. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the body. Maybe that's the body. It looks like there might be a body in there. Let's see if you can look in there. Kind of cool. But I believe that's worth some points for whoever has that. Reading a scroll there. That's kind of cool. I like these. These are nice. These are... I like that. That adds a little bit different perspective to it. Man, that guy's getting it already. He's getting the sword from this guy. So that's what you get in the box here. And it looks like with this tray, you should be, I mean, I imagine I can probably store everything. Put the little plastic spacer and then that down. I imagine I can, let me do it like, it's dual-sided, so you can do whatever side you're going. So that's what's underneath this, and then you have this on top. So I think you might be able to put everything back in this tray. I mean, the cards look like they will go back in there, and so you've got a little spot for your cards. There's a little indentation there. You know, once you get this open, you probably have room for some stuff in there. So you might, yeah, I don't know. You might be able to put everything back in this tray or not. Not certain about that. But anyway, that is what you get in a box of Successors, 4th edition. So this is a premium edition here. They've been, people have been waiting a long time to get this one out here. The people that really like this game. And again, don't have a lot of experience with it, but I've been watching it for a long time and looking at it and, maybe lusting after it to get this, to pick this up, because I like this era, and it looks like a very interesting game. I don't think it's especially deep. It's not, I don't think it's overly complex. And I don't know how, realistic a simulation it is, but it just looks very interesting. It looks something kind of fun to play and get on the table. And it looks like it might be played best with 5. But again, I'll have to read up more on that. So that is Successors, 4th edition. What you get in the box. Very nice. Mounted map. Minis. Counters, nice, thick, good-sized counters. Cards aren't the thickest, but nicely illustrated cards. And you also have, if you don't want to use minis, you can use these standees as well, and they have bases for the both. So I'm impressed. I want to get into this, and since I'm coming to it new, I don't necessarily need to know what the differences are between 3rd edition and 4th edition. I might look at that anyway for curiosity's sake, but anyway, that is what you get in the box of Successors. This, my friendly local game store just got this, so I don't know if this has been out to the rest of the public very long. I guess if you kickstarted it, you probably should have had this for quite some time, I would imagine, by now. But I haven't seen a lot of unboxings on this one yet, so I'm glad to get this out there and see what you all think. So love to know your thoughts on this. Is this worth the wait? Is this worth the upgrade? Is this a nice edition of this? Is this the ultimate edition of this? Is this a game that you still like playing? Is it kind of outlived its usefulness and there's other stuff out there that's better? Or is this still the go-to game on that period, the period right after Alexander's death? Is this still a worthy competitor in the market space for trying to simulate or have a game on that period of time? Anyway, love to know your thoughts on that, on any of that stuff. So anyway, thanks for spending some time with me. Appreciate it. I know your time is precious, so any amount of time you spend with me is greatly appreciated. And anyway, I'm anxious to get this to the table. I've got quite a few this week. This was a heavy week for me. These last 2 weeks were pretty big on stuff coming in the mail. So I've got a lot of stuff I need to get to the board to play, or to my table to start playing. But this is definitely high on the list because this looks very interesting. I'm gonna have to get an opponent for this one though. I don't think this particularly plays solitaire well. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. If anybody has any thoughts on that, love to hear it. Anyway, thanks all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching.